Greetings, everybody. I welcome you to our series about the Fulfillment Tools solutions, where we will introduce you to the Fulfillment Tools software piece by piece. My name is Andreas Runschke, and I am the solution consultant at Fulfillment Tools, and today I would like to introduce you to the DOMS Toolkit. We already have spoken about our distributed order management system and how the configured rules in this system enable you to leverage your whole fulfillment network. The configured rules are the heart of the DOMS, and therefore we added a new feature to make the creation and editing of them even easier for everybody. The DOMS Toolkit enables you to create new and edit existing rules, and with the new easy-to-use UI, also non-technical persons can join in now. Of course, all those functions are also available over the API. Fulfillment Tools is API first. So let's take a look together at the DOMS Toolkit and the easy setup of new rules. Yeah, hello. We are back inside the software. We are in the back office, which is our administrative configurational tool for fulfillment tools. And we will directly dive into the DOMS configuration for what we want to do today. And we're also opening up the routing rules directly. And as you see already, if you've seen that before, it looks a little bit different. There are new features here. And also a little remark, I will not explain today how fences, ratings, and the whole distributed order management system works. If you're interested in that, have a look at our channel. There is a video about the distributed order management system. Today we will have a specific look at the DOMS Toolkit and therefore only this functionality. And you see already the difference. You see here there is what we call custom fence is available. Next to the default, the standard fences. We also would have that on the rating side, but there isn't any custom rating currently configured, therefore it's not shown, but the moment we create one, it will also be shown on that side. And we also have the DOMS Toolkit functions here above the rules, and we can create a conditional rule or a comparison rule. I will go into more depth what that means in the process, but for now, we want to create a conditional rule, and maybe let me elaborate a little bit on what we want to do. So as a company, we are in two countries. We are in Germany and we are also in the United States. And because shipment between those two countries is very expensive and we don't want to do that, we want to make sure that American customers will get served out of the United States and German customers will get served out of facilities that are located in Germany. And yeah, this is a rule that is currently not like that in our system. So we can create one now. And let me create one. And the system asks you, do you want to create a fence or rating? As I said before, you can do both. In our case, we want this as a hard knockout criteria, so we create a fence. And you see the UI for creating this rule. So first of all, you give this thing a name. So let's start with, let's call it German distribution, for example. You can also give this thing a description. I won't do that right now, but this explains a little bit more also in the UI what this rule is expected to do. And you also have the possibility of entering a sequence. This is quite important. So you can say like everything that has a sequence, for example, the number 1 will be run at spot 1. All the ones that have a 2 or 3 or 4 coming afterwards will come in that order. That is very helpful if you have a rule where you know exactly like this rule, for example, that will filter out a lot of facilities directly. Like, okay, we are in the United States, we just look at the United States. So all of the other international facilities are out. This helps you in the further rule sets that they only need to look at fewer amounts of locations, so speed up the process. So put the ones that kick out a lot of facilities at the top and the ones that do minor adjustments, put them in the lowest spot so your whole system runs as quick as possible. And you see what we do. We compare here again the order against the facility. This is how the distributed order management system works. An order comes in, the order will be compared against all facilities in the system based on the rule that is set up. And exactly that's what we're doing. We have this little thing here, what's called the JSON path. So that's We currently have this still in here because it gives you the maximum amount of flexibility to get to your data. It's a little bit technical, but stay with me. It's not that complicated. As you know, these things will be saved in a database somewhere, and we use a JSON format for that. It has a specific way of saving the data, and this is the way how I access that. So you can access all the data that is saved here. I will start with just a $sign with a dot. This just tells the system that I want to access the data of the order. I'm now at the beginning. I also will try to show you a little bit of explanation here on the screen that you can follow up how this works in the data model, how it follows up the data. So it will be very easy for you to use this system. So what we want to know now is the country of origin of our consumer. And this is written as the following. So the first data point we have in our order is the consumer itself. And the consumer has another parameter that is, I do a dot to get to the next parameter, which is the addresses. Here's a little trick now, because we can have multiple addresses. Our data model is able to have multiple addresses inside one consumer. Typically, that is not happening. It's only one address that's in there. So what we would do here is we use this brackets and we do a 0, which just means access the first address in that list. It has to be a 0 because it's a 0-based index. So just write in 0 and you know it will get you the first address in the consumer list, which is typically the only one there. And then in this data point, I go a next one level deeper, and then we go into the country. And that's it. Here we are. So now the system will read out exactly this data point. It says, okay, we go into the order, we go there into the data point consumer, there into addresses, look at the first address, and then give me back the country. We could do a transformation of this text that we get back with just show me the last 3 letters, or make a substring from 0.2 to 3 or something like that. We don't need that here because we saved that information in the ISO convention. So that's just a 2-char letter or 2 letters. So what we do is that we need an entity operator. So we want this to be, what is my, value equals, sorry. This is what I want. I want that the value coming out of this field equals the expected value, which is in my case, if I'm doing it for Germany, it's DE. That's the ISO code for Germany. And this is the way it would be saved here. So this is what it exactly does. It goes into the order when it comes in, looks at this data point, the country, and says, is the value written down there DE? If so, this rule kicks in, and now he will switch over to the facility and say, okay, if this condition is true, we're checking this now. What should be the other condition that has to be true on the facility side? And we want to do the same here, but it's a little bit easier because the data model here is more clearer. A facility doesn't have 2 or 3 addresses, it's just one. Again, I use the dollar with the dot to access the data model, and then I just say address country. That's the only thing that you need to do here, and this will give you back the country. And again, here we will also do an entity operator and say like the value needs to equals, again, DE. And we can save that. And opening it up here, and now you see we have the new rule, German distribution. For your information, as you see that here, all rules will be created deactivated. This is for the reason that it's not just directly impacting your system. It's a conscious decision by you to activate them, save this. If you can do this here, if you create this and then update the rules, at this point they will go into effect, not before. So you can play around, you can create some, you can edit them. You have to activate them. They will not directly impact your rating system. So let's deactivate it again and do it a second time, because we also wanted, now we only have the German distribution. So if somebody from Germany comes, he will be served from German facilities. But what are with our friends from the United States? Let's do that as well. And as you can imagine, we do the same thing here, create a conditional rule, create it as a fence. We give the same a name and say USA distribution. Gets the same sequence. It's possible to put them on the same sequence. They will be done parallel or quickly after each other. And we have the same UI again, and as you expect, it's basically the same path that we go. We access the data model with the $. We go into the consumer, we go into the addresses, pick the first address in that line, and then we go to the country. Again, we still expect the value equals, but now we expect not DE, but US. And this is the same thing we do on the right side. Again, the $sign accessing the data, dot to get into that. And then we take the address and take the country. Again, here as well, the value should equal, you guessed it, US. So now we are checking if inside the order, the country of the consumer is labeled as US, the facility that is able to serve them also needs to be located in the US. We save that again, open it up here, and as you can see, both are deactivated. You have to activate them. So now we have a German and a US distribution rule. Isn't that great? There's just one flaw you might have seen through already. If we go international and we open up now substitutions in Canada, Mexico, or here in Germany, in Austria, Switzerland, we expand a little bit. You have to create a rule for each country. That's not a nice way. It works fine, but it's not a nice way to do that. And therefore, as a finisher here, let me show you the comparison rule. Again, we click on this create comparison rule. Again, it's a fence, and you will see we again have a name. I will call that country distribution. You have the same possibilities. You can have a sequence here as well, but you see that the whole UI, the whole possibilities you have here is much smaller. You don't need to enter as many data as before. Because what's the biggest difference here? Basically, he's now taking the information on one side. You see again, we have the JSON path. He asks us, what kind of information should I get from the order? But he doesn't expect the value now. He wants then to compare the value that is coming out of this data point with a data point on the right side of the facility. Let's do this very quickly. So again, I go to the dollar. It's you guessed it. It's the same as before. We go into the consumer. We go into the addresses. We pick the first address, and then we want the country back. And that's it. More is not to do here. Same on the facility side. Again, $sign dot, we are entering the data model. We go into the address, and from that address, we want the country. And nothing more is to be done. Why? He's looking now on the order into this data point, and he gets a value back. This could be DE, that could be US, that could be AT for Austria, for example. I'm not sure what's Canada, might be CA. He will take that value and say, like, okay, I compare this value now to the data entry point on this side, and here it's the same. If you have facilities now in Austria, they would be flagged with AT. So he's comparing these two values, and it doesn't matter from which country your order comes, this rule will assure that it only gets fulfilled from the same country. We can save that now. We have the routing rules here. And as you can see, we have the German distribution, we have the country distribution, we have the USA distribution. So we could either activate those two, or we could also, the better way would be to just have this one and delete those. That's a nicer way of doing it. You're more flexible now with your rule set. That's it for very first and very quick introduction to the DOMS Toolkit. Of course, the same thing is also applicable for the ratings. You could do this here the same. If there's any interest in seeing that as well, let me know. We could do a video on that as well. It's working quite similar. So yeah, that's it for now. That's it for a little trip into the DOMS Toolkit. We are very proud to also enable the not technical colleagues to join in on the fun of creating and editing rules. Of course, all of that was achieved without ignoring our API for all of you developers out there. If you have a further interest in the shown functionality or you generally want to talk about the possibilities of fulfillment tools, don't hesitate to contact us directly. I wish you a happy day and I'm looking forward to see you again in a future video.